Evil Dead, Rise 2023. So the film story begins, and the dangerous jungles are shown, where we see a strange house where three friends had come to celebrate the holidays. This house was on the bank of the river, where two friends were sitting and having a lot of fun, but one of their friends was inside the house, whose name was Jessica. She was in a very bad condition. Now, a friend comes to Jessica who was having a lot of fun with her, and she has also read a book and makes her listen to her. But don't know what happened to Jessica. She starts reading the book in her strange voice. Listening to Jessica's voice, it felt like someone else was speaking inside her. She starts vomiting and her eyes changed color, after which she suddenly separates her friend's hair from her skin and goes outside and separates her friend's head from his body. She killed both of her friends, after which we see Jessica flying in the air. And her friend who was watching all this while crying, by now you must not have understood who was Jessica. And why did this happen to these three friends? To know all this, our story goes back one day ago, from where all this started, so we see an old building, and in its apartment, a woman named Ellie used to live with her three children. She used to live with her children apart from her husband. One night, Ellie's sister comes to her house, whose name was Beth. She comes to Ellie's house and gives gifts to her children that she brought for them. Beth brought gifts for Ellie's husband, because she didn't know that their sister doesn't live with her husband. When Beth asks Ellie about her husband, it creates a sad environment. That's why Ellie, to talk to Beth, sends her children out to get pizza, so that she can talk to her sister alone. When Beth finds out about her sister's husband, Beth tells her sister that she should have told her about it. When the children were coming back, the three children sit in the car parking area. Everything was fine after a while, but it wasn't just that. Ellie's eldest son, Danny, sees that because of the earthquake, there was a big hole in the car parking, so big that he could go inside. Danny goes inside the hole and recorded audio tapes. Part 1, 2, and 3 were written on the tape. Danny found some pictures of the priest, the father, and he also found many holy crosses. It was clear that there was an exorcism to imprison an evil power. He also sees a grave from which Jesus Christ was covered in cloth. Danny takes it with him without knowing anything. There, Ellie, their mother was worried about her children, because she had heard on TV that the nearby buildings had been damaged and asks him for help to find her children. There was also an old lady, but after a while, Ellie's children came home by the lift. Ellie scolds them after seeing them and tells them not to use the lift when there is an earthquake. She was going to take clothes for the laundry by the lift after saying this. Danny takes the book and the audio tapes he found. He takes them to his room. He tries to open the book, but it does not open, because the book was covered with sharp teeth. Looking at the book, it seemed as if it was someone's face. That's why his finger gets stuck on that sharp teeth, which started bleeding, which also falls on the book. But the surprising thing was that the book absorbs his blood inside. And that's when the book opened. We can see that there were strange pictures, as if someone is doing magic on someone. Danny doesn't read the book, but he starts listening to the audio tapes. In the first audio tape, there was a father who was telling that we have tried to know the book with our friends, in which a strange kind of magic has been told. Now the next thing was in the second audio tape, when Danny plays it, in which the father was telling about the book, from where they had found that book. Suddenly, a demonic voice begins to be heard from the radio, as if a black power is imprisoned inside and tries to come out. Danny tries to stop the tape, but he can't. That's when we can see that the black power was released from the tape and came inside Ellie in the lift, which breaks the bones of Ellie, and was beating her mercilessly. Danny tries to stop the audio tape, but he can't. Meanwhile, the light in their house also goes out, and the pages of the book also started turning on their own. When Ellie's daughter checked the light, there was light everywhere except for their house. That means whatever was going wrong was only in their house. After a while, Ellie comes back to her house, which was looking a little better, and she came to her house by walk. But a while ago, we saw that the black power inside her had broken Ellie's bones. But now Ellie was able to walk perfectly and goes to the kitchen and starts cooking eggs. When her sister comes to her and calls her, then she starts vomiting and started behaving strangely. When Ellie comes to her senses, she just says that she is inside me. Don't let her harm my children. After saying this, she also fainted, and she falls down. Ellie's sister and her children due to the earthquake. Anyway, they all together put Ellie in the room. Now, the same boy of their neighbor, whom Ellie asked for help to find her children. He closes Ellie's eyes, but they are opened again. He again closes, and they're again opened. All of them pray for Ellie because they felt that she was going to die. Then her sister sits next to her and tells her how much she loves her. Then a bell rings on Beth's phone, which was not anyone else's but Ellie's. She was telling her sister that her body is burning. Someone, please save her. And then she sits alive. When Beth touched her sister's body, then her body was really hot. It seemed as if her body was burning. Then Beth takes her to the bathtub. Suddenly, Ellie came out of the water and started walking on the wall and screamed so loudly that everyone was going to faint. At the same time, the water in the bathroom was also boiling. Ellie attacks everyone one by one. She was trying to kill her daughter. Then her son Danny puts Ellie aside because he knew that there was some black power inside his mother. She also takes out the eyes of the neighbor and throws it in the mouth of another neighbor. Taking advantage of this, Beth closes the doors of the apartment. With her, Ellie's children were also there. Now Beth sees through a hole. All the people in the house, Ellie had killed everyone. Outside, Ellie's daughter fights with her brother Danny because she also knew that everything happened because of him. He had turned on the tape recorder and opened the magic book. Here they were fighting each other. Beth takes her youngest daughter into her talks and makes her open the gate. Now, it was getting strange with Ellie's elder daughter. She was getting strange marks on her face, and worms came out of her mouth. When Beth goes to Ellie's elder daughter, she was eating pieces of glass in the kitchen. It means she was also in control of that black power. Ellie was in control of the black power. It meant that Ellie's elder daughter was also possessed like her. She attacks her Aunt Beth and was also trying to kill her sister. But her younger sister hits her doll on her head and saves herself. Now, Danny tells Beth everything, that all this happened because of him. Now, after knowing everything, Beth goes to Danny's room so that she can hear the last tape recorder. Beth puts on the headphone and starts listening to the tape recorder that whoever is wrong is with the third and last recording. Then here Beth knows the whole truth, that this book was given to a priest, the father, and he wanted to read this book completely. But then the church people removed the father from the church. Because it was a demonic book, it was made of human skin, and it was written on it with human blood. There were ways to call the dangerous demons of hell. The father wanted to understand all these things. Now Beth was listening to the same things in the tape recorder. After hearing all this, Beth was also convinced. In the kitchen, Ellie's elder daughter comes and attacks Danny and burns him. In the room where Beth was, Ellie also came. Beth tries to fight her. Ellie says from her mouth that, "Whoever I am, you can't defeat me easily." Now only Beth and Ellie's younger daughter were left. Ellie was about to kill Beth here. Then Ellie's younger daughter gives a scissor to Beth, which Beth puts in Ellie's mouth, which she stopped for a while. Beth was about to break the door with a gun. Then Ellie wakes up. Beth fires a bullet at Ellie, which hit her leg. Ellie tries to trap her younger daughter in her sweet talks, but listening to her younger daughter, she says, "You are not my mom." Now, one by one, those who Ellie had killed. They start coming alive and say that no one will survive till evening. Beth and Ellie's younger daughter have no other way to run. But the lift was closed, and the door was also closed, and the keys were stuck in the lift. Because when Ellie was possessed, she had these keys in her hand. Ellie's daughter now cleverly takes out the keys by turning on the lift, and the lift was also running. But we can see that Ellie's elder daughter, and Danny, who was in control of the demons after death. They connect themselves to the lift, by which now, as the lift runs, their blood starts flowing inside it. As the lift was coming down, the blood was also increasing. There, the page of her book also turns, in which the strange type of creature was. And in the meanwhile, Ellie also turned into that creature. As soon as the lift comes down, the blood also comes out. Beth and Ellie's younger daughter, soaked in the blood, sit in the car. But in front of them, Ellie came again, who was in her demonic form. She attacks her younger daughter. Then Beth takes a chainsaw and starts killing her. But along with that, Ellie's elder daughter and Danny also came. Beth puts the three of them in the grinding machine. Beth had no other way, after which Beth took Ellie's younger daughter and left from here. But that demon black power was not over yet. Now let's see the scene of the next day. A girl, Jessica, comes down from the same lift who used to live in the building below Ellie, and Jessica was the same girl we saw at the beginning of the story. Now when she comes down from the lift, she sees a lot of blood and was about to call the police. The demon who was inside Ellie comes and controls Jessica. Now you must have understood why Jessica killed her friends, and still, that demon is inside Jessica. What destruction that demon was going to spread. No one knows. The film ends with this.